What's up, guys? We are back with another Cosmic Legions Book 1 test shot review, taking a look at the second figure that Kevin over at the Mythic Legions Cabal and Cosmic Cabal on Facebook let me borrow to do a little video on. This is one of two Olek Thygar figures in Wave 1. This is the Hvalkatar version of Olek Thygar. He's very much a familiar kind of figure, very 1.0. He is a little bit different just because of some of the parts he brings to the table, but it's very familiar stuff. So let's see what he can do, see how he moves around. We've got our head that can look up really good. He can look down really good as well. You've got your tilt, your bobble side to side, full rotation, of course. Arms out at the shoulders that far. Rotate them around, of course. We've got our single jointed elbow, gives you about 90 degrees with swivel. You've got your swiveling gauntlets. We've got vertical hinges on him here for the wrist, and you've got swivel at that wrist as well, of course. The torso is pretty nuts, though. Like, it has some crazy, crazy range going backwards. But conversely, it doesn't really do anything going forward. He is pretty much straight up and down. Not much tilt either, but you do have your rotation. Legs go all the way out. You can get him to do the splits. They kick forward pretty far. You are going to have to watch the rubbery belt and codpiece. Kick backwards as well. You've got your thigh twist. Single jointed 90-degree knee with rotation there also. And you've got your standard rotation at the ankles. We've got really, really good rocker down here, as well as some hinge action as well. Nothing really getting in the way of those ankles. So he is very normal. There are a few things about him that are a little bit different just because of that torso, and he does have a pretty unique neck situation going on compared to other figures. But when it comes to moving him around, if you've messed with, well, once you mess with any Cosmic 1.0 figure or, you know, Mythic 1.0 figure as well, you pretty much know what you're getting into with this guy. Now, visually, this is a test shot, so obviously we don't get to see him in his full painted glory, but this also gives me an opportunity to just sort of drool over the sculpt and not worry about the rest of the details yet, anyway. And I can't stress enough, I basically said it with every figure I've taken a look at so far, and it definitely applies here as well. Crammed. Every single nook and cranny on this figure crammed with detail. And I feel like this is probably one of the better examples of that, too. Just because he has so many disparate parts. He has this very unique torso. He's got fully armored arms. He has very textured pants. He has this humongous rubbery but very, very detailed belt and thigh armor situation going on. He has very robotic looking legs down here. There's just so much that's unique about him and very specific. Not to mention the fact that he has a sort of different sort of neck system and a very unique head sculpt. So there's just a lot going on here, and I think he's going to be a focal point for a lot of folks. He does feature, he does feature parts for use. He's not unique 100%. He does have one of the little back carapace things that we've seen with other figures so far. Not every figure in Cosmic has these. Like Vorga doesn't have one, for example. She has actual pauldrons. I don't know what we're going to call these things, the Cosmic backpack or something, but it does of course come off. You don't have to use it, but it definitely gives him a little bit more oomph and makes him look a little bit beefier to have that on him. But if you want a more slimmed down version, I think you can take it off. I feel like with his neck, though, it might look a little weird. This guy definitely seems to be slightly larger than your average figure, and a lot of that does come from the neck. It makes him look a little taller than he actually is. He's certainly not anything huge by comparison to most normal figures, but he seems to be, this kind of gives the illusion that he's a little bit stretched. He certainly looks larger than he is, but beyond that, not to harp on his size, this is just a crazy looking figure. I really can't wait to get my hands on the Grave Ring version. I really would like to see them side by side just to get an appreciation for what is similar and what's of course different. But again, just tons and tons of detail. If you just look at the inside of this torso piece, there's so much sculpt there, all this tiny detail, everything is textured, nothing is left just flat and untouched. It all has detail, it all has some sort of depth to it, and it looks great. Even in this test shot form, it picks up the light and you can get a really good appreciation for how much detail they have crammed into this sculpt. And I'm going to take the head off real quick so you can see what we're talking about with this neck. So this right here is a separate piece that you'll take off because he actually includes a separate neck for a different look. So you have a fully, alien neck here that you can see his neck actually poking up out of his armor. And then you've got this head that pops on top of that for a more complete look where he is unhelmeted, sort of exposed a little bit, versus the fully armored up version that we'll take a look at when we get to accessories. But this head sculpt is pretty wild. It's very reminiscent of Kragnar in some ways, just in terms of this style and the detail, all of that sort of rocky, craggy texture. But he has these sort of like weird horns almost, and these change between the two versions of the figure. So you've got these that are sort of back, and I believe they grow in the Grave Ring version. I obviously don't have that now to check, but it's a tremendous looking head sculpt, and this is one of the more iconic looking heads from the line that we've seen sort of teased throughout time. And I can't stress enough. I guess I can stress it. I can stress it a lot. Tons and tons of detail all over this thing. I'll be able to fully appreciate it more once it is fully painted, but it gets me even more excited to take a look at these things before the final product, because knowing what it looks like in hand, just in this gray plastic, really lets me know that it's going to be something special once it's fully painted and just done. And now, as far as some size comparisons, let's start with other cosmic figures. So we've got Vorga here on the left, the test shot, and this is the Tusk Science Officer on the right. These are all 1.0 figures. Vorga's a female, but she is a 1.0 female figure. So they're all basically the same, but this gives you an idea of what I'm talking about by the fact that he seems a little stretched. That neck adds more height to this figure without necessarily making him an entirely different kind of figure. He's still very in line with most of your 1.0 stuff, but he's going to sit a little taller just by virtue of having, he's an alien, so he has a slightly longer neck. And let's do a Mythic Legions just because, why not? Let's just do a Mythic just to have that comparison there. So here's a 1.0 skeleton figure. And you can see that's a pretty good idea of exactly what we're working with here. He definitely is slightly larger, but not overly so. We're not talking ogre scale. We're not talking Kragnar or anything like that. He's just a slightly larger figure. And then let's do some other lines. Here's a SH Figuarts. There is Turles. Let's take my Bone Boy away, and here is a Hasbro figure. So here is a Viper from G.I. Joe Classified. Now let's take him aside, and let's do a NECA figure. Here is everybody's favorite War Duke. And let's do a Super 7 figure. Let's take Turles aside, and here is my favorite Thundercat, Tigra. And then let's do one more. Let's do an AWOC figure, Animal Warriors of the Kingdom. So here is Tiberius. So this guy is going to fit. I mean, obviously, he's going to fit in just fine with your cosmic stuff. He's going to fit in just fine with your mythic stuff. He's slightly elongated because of that neck, but he's very much in line with your normal 1.0 style figures. He's going to seem very much in that same vein. Now, as far as accessories goes, Olek is, to put it bluntly, he is stacked. He comes with a bunch of different display options as far as swappable parts, heads, and things like that. And he comes with a bunch of weapons, too. So to start with, we do get another one of the actual, like, astronaut dome kind of thing. So this, of course, fits over top of the head, and it needs that, cosmic backpack to sort of latch on. I will say that just like with the Tusk Science Officer, I'm still finding it hard to actually put these on and make them stay. I'm going to chalk that up to it being a test shot for now, and we'll see what happens later on, because obviously these aren't final. But you can pop this off, and then you've got his normal head under there. And then, of course, it's like an Easter egg, basically. This will be translucent, and then you've got your apparatus here. And this is fully sculpted, in and out, fully sculpted. Tons of detail all over that. So you've got that as a display option. We'll take this head off. And here is the second neck that I was talking about. So this is the more armored neck that fits in line with his actual suit. So you've got that as well. And then this is our alt head, which is, again, like an actual helmet that sits over top of his head. This is, again, reminiscent of the Tusk figures, but whereas those are like full-on like robotic inside, when you take his visor off, it's his actual head in there, which is pretty gnarly. I think this looks awesome. So tons of detail. I mean, this guy is just brimming with detail in terms of what this head sculpt offers. And of course, this gray piece in the finished product is going to be translucent as well. So you'll be able to see his head at all times, no matter what piece you're using. So I think this is a really cool idea. I'm very happy that they decided to switch this one up like that. And we do get some extra hands. He's got these style posy hands on him right now. You get two sets of gripping hands. So there's a set of laterally hinged gripping hands and a set of vertically hinged gripping hands. And then we get a bunch of the little posts, the little pegs that go in the holes all over him. because those are used, at least for when it comes to these guns, for weapon storage. So you get 2 of these guns, they've got a hole on them, and then you can pop them into the back for weapon storage on his belt. And these guns are reused, like a bunch of figures are going to come with those, but he does get a lot of weaponry here. So in addition to those, he also includes the wrist-mounted gauntlets, wrist-mounted lasers rather, that go on the gauntlets. So for one of these, he gets a set of these. So you get those little blasters, which I really like. The Tusk Engineer comes with those. But he also gets one of these. And if you saw my review of the Tusk Science Officer, this is similar but different. So that figure had a projection of a skull, more like one of the Cronin skulls. This is like an ID card or a mission briefing, or like a Mandalorian chain code or something that's going to pop out of his gauntlet and his like display there. And it's going to be translucent in the finished product. And I'm really excited for those. These things get me more excited than just about any accessory for reasons I don't really understand. But I'm really excited to actually mix and match those and see what I can do with those. So you've got that option. So that's already 4 different weapons and that little piece. He gets the heavy blaster rifle. And these guns are just so well sculpted, so much tight detail in here. I don't know if tight's the best word, but everything is just super, super sharp. Everything looks really good. You can catch the light and see all that sculpt in there. Of course, this is going to be painted. But even in this just flat gray, there's a ton of detail on this thing. And then he comes with this monster. And this is not unique to him. This is actually Vorga's gun, or maybe Vorga has his gun, but she has more of a cosmic Gatling gun. So his includes a different front, and this on hers is open where the actual ammo will feed into. So he has a little piece that pops in there to fill that gap. But this is like this huge monster heavy blaster. And obviously this thing is meant to be held with both hands. So you've got your trigger up here, you've got your grip here, and it's just, brimming with detail. Tons and tons of detail all over this thing. I really like this gun. It's a very, heavy weapon kind of situation. So this is like for your bruisers. And he seems, again, like a much bigger figure in many ways, even though he really isn't that much bigger. But this will fit him quite well. So that's what he comes with as far as his actual assortment. But like I said, I do want to talk about one other thing. So when it comes to Cosmic and some of the things we've seen throughout the years as teasers and imagery, this head is among them, the Cronin skull, and how it fits into the lore and things like that. So this was included randomly in test shot orders. I did not luck out and get one, unfortunately, but Kevin did. So it was included when he sent these figures over to me to take a look. And this head sculpt is absolutely freaking rad. I love this. It is obviously a skull, but with the things sticking off the side, it has this sort of alien imagery going on. It's got a slightly elongated skull. There's these nodules on the back. And you are going to get these if you ordered an all-in. I think it was just all-ins for Cosmic Wave 1. Get a gold one, and then you can get a silver one on the retailers, Big Bad Toy Store, places like that, Mallfish, any place that retails for the Horsemen. They get a silver one that's exclusive to the retailers. So there are ways to get this skull beyond just lucking out and getting the test shot. So I think this thing's really cool. I can't wait to use it on other figures. I'll tell you right now, it looks great on Mythic Legions. And it fits just about every single Cosmic figure just fine, except for, of course, like the Tusk Engineer, which is a 2.0 figure, and I guess Ziri as well. But it's a really cool addition and a nice little Easter egg for folks who did manage to score one. But I'm really excited to take a look at the gold and the silver versions down the road. So beyond that, Olek is stacked. I think out of what I've taken a look at so far, he has the most as far as piece count. There is a lot of accessories here, various stuff, obviously different ways to display the figure from a head's perspective, different hands, and just a small arsenal of weaponry. So yeah, overall, I guess I'm going to be like a broken record every time I do one of these. I'm even more excited now that I've seen this test shot than I was before seeing this test shot. It's quite obvious that I am very much on board, full steam ahead with Cosmic Legions. I have been waiting for these figures for literally years at this point. So to get my hands on them in sort of an early preview makes it even more exciting. But to have that, want and desire be fulfilled is always a good thing. And these figures are absolutely living up to the hype, living up to the expectations of everything that I've come to expect from Mythic Legions. Cosmic stuff looks tremendous. They move well. They have great, wild accessories. And Olek Thygar is no exception. He's very much in that same vein. The only thing that I could find that might be a negative on this guy is that he really can't crunch forward. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I'm not too worried about that. It's everything else. And when it comes to Legions, it's always about the visuals, and this guy just looks tremendous. So that's going to do it for this look at the Cosmic Legions Book 1 Olek Thygar Hvalkatar version. Let me know what you guys think. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and until next time.